Oh, the world of politics. So many useless and clueless goons who have no idea about any of the paperwork they sign off on a daily basis. And here we go again, with Germany's Ministry of Justice speaking in favour of a European Union-wide effort to try and curb the extremist content that they deem to take place on the messaging app. Yes, folks, you've all heard it before. You see what I said there? I said messaging app. Because Telegram is currently viewed by the eyes of the European law as a messaging application and not a social media, meaning Telegram itself is subject to far less stringent laws inside the European Union. However, Germany in particular doesn't like this and claims it is a, quote, loophole for social media platforms to go under the radar of the authorities as identifying as a messaging service and not as a social media. Well, Germany now claims that Telegram no longer falls under the definition of a messaging service and more so falls under the social media definition. Now, whether Telegram falls in one or the other is a matter of opinion and point of view. But in the eyes of the European Union, if your application identifies as a social media rather than a messaging service, that means your application is under far more stringent laws and you have to abide by a wide variety of, quite frankly, quite draconian laws. For example, if you identify as a social media, you do have to have the ability to send any, quote, terrorist or criminal information that may be passed between individuals on your application to the relevant authorities, meaning that if Telegram is deemed by the EU as being a social media rather than a messaging service, Telegram will have to implement these measures if it wants to be a legal entity within the European Union. And bad news, for EU and UK users of Telegram, all of your data is stored in the country of the Netherlands, which, as most of us know, is an EU member state, which means that if Telegram does become a social media platform in the eyes of the EU regulators, all of your data is under EU control. And I say all of your data because if you've used Telegram before, you'll know that secret chats is a different option than the normal default chat, and the default chat is unencrypted. It's as unencrypted as sending a text message to your friend. It's really unimpressive considering how much Telegram markets itself as a privacy-respecting, fully encrypted messaging service, because it simply isn't. If we just read into this, I'm on RT by the way, so take this as you will, but I think most of this is pretty solid. So if we just read into this a little bit, we can see down here, the debate over Telegram intensified in Germany earlier this month after several radical anti-vaxxers had been arrested in the city of Dresden of allegedly plotting on the platform to kill the governor of the state of Saxony. Now, what this means, other than the dodgy situation those people are in of discussing murdering somebody, I don't think that's something we all tend to indulge in. Well, hopefully not anyway. But this proves what we all pretty much know, that Telegram is not a end-to-end encrypted, fully encrypted messaging service, and that Telegram do hold the powers or the keys, have a back door into the quote encryption, which goes against everything Telegram is about in the first place. I know pretty much everybody already knows this, as Telegram's not that good of a privacy-respecting messaging service in the first place. I mean, having a default chat option as being unencrypted itself is pretty weird, and I wouldn't use it, so just keep that in mind. Now, I think one of the bigger issues we need to be talking about in terms of this little article is that Germany wants to restrict or even get rid of Telegram from the European Union to quell the, quote, extremist content that takes place on the site. Now, the thing is, and I'm not too sure Germany has thought too much about this. I'm not too sure Marco Buschmann. I don't think he's thought about it too much because, you see, restricting or getting rid of one social media platform which may or may not host a number of terrorist organizations or whatever, you may stop the quell for a day or two, but they'll just move to something else that has better security than Telegram. They could move to a foreign messaging service. They could move to Signal, which is fully encrypted and open source. That's actually a good thing to mention. Telegram is not open source. All right, Telegram is actually freeware, which means it does have proprietary source code. So all the more power to not trust Telegram with your chats and keeping them fully encrypted and away from the eyes of authorities. So I don't really see the point in all of this in the first place. I mean, the amount of resources the German and other countries within the European Union must be spending on trying to quell this, quote, terrorist organisations all on Telegram is more than nothing, and I think that is money not well spent, because trying to stop criminals or terrorists or whatever you want to say online is like trying to play whack-a-mole. You're not really going to get anywhere doing it. Like you can stop Telegram, you can make so you can access all the chats on Telegram, but they'll just move somewhere else. They'll move to Signal, and if you try and ban Signal, they find another way to use it, and if you try to do that, they'll use another messaging service or another one, and then they'll go over to using the Tor network, and then, I mean, most of the Tor exit nodes are fed honeypots anyway, but then they'll move over to something else, and then eventually you'll just drive them to meeting each other in person. You know, it doesn't work. So I don't really see how the Minister of Justice, Germany's Minister of Justice, has thought about this very much, because obviously he hasn't. Because if he thought about it for even 10 seconds, he'd realise, yeah, we're playing whack-a-mole. And I do think in here they do actually realise. Here we can see Bushman, however, warned that even if the EU succeeded in bringing Telegram to heel, that alone would not end the problem of hate speech and extremism online, as, quote, radicals will find new ways and platforms. So what's the point? Well, why are you even bothering to try and make an example of Telegram if you're admitting that it's not going to do much in the end? I mean, I know this bit's quite opinionated, but it doesn't make any sense. You can try and stop extremists using Telegram, and they'll just go to something. I really don't understand the Minister of Justice's position on this. Now, one thing that has popped into my mind about this is the fact that Marco Buschmann, the Minister of Justice for Germany, has assumed office earlier this month on the 8th of December 2021, with Germany's new Chancellor Olaf Scholz, who has also recently just assumed office after the departure of Angela Merkel, who was Germany's Chancellor for 16 years. Now, I think this could be a case of him trying to make an impression of himself, trying to show that he can do something that others may have failed in the past, or may have not even bothered because they've realised it's not really worth it. So it could be that he's wanting to make a good impression on the new Chancellor. It could be that he's trying to make himself look like the big man. I don't know, because it doesn't really make any sense. I don't like Telegram. I'm not too sure many privacy diligent people do, because it's just not that good for privacy. But, you know, it's what everybody's using these days, and if they're trying to do this for this big of a messaging service, then who's to say they're just not gonna, down the line, they're just gonna start banning or introducing restrictions left, right, and centre on all messaging applications. I mean, obviously the good ones will just tell them to, up yours and forget about it. I know Signal are pretty good at that. When they had a subpoena request from the FBI, I think, in America, and they for an individual account, user account, and they just gave him the date it was created and the last time it was logged in, and that was it. So that's what fully encrypted messaging services need to be like. Not have any data on the users. And as the case is with Telegram, all of EU and UK user data is all stored in the Netherlands on servers that they rent. So just some food for thought there. This was just a quick little one to tell you about how Germany is a bit of a pain, EU is a bit of a pain, and that Telegram, if you're still using Telegram and you're still wary of your data, you're in the wrong place and you need to swap over to using Signal or something akin to that, because while Signal may not be perfect, it's definitely better than Telegram or God forbid WhatsApp. If you're using WhatsApp still, I don't even know. Unless you use WhatsApp for work, in which case, a bit more acceptable. But, that's about it. I just wanted to show you this. These news stories, I think, are quite They're funny in the way that I think they're completely useless and they will not accomplish anything, but they're also quite terrifying because it sets a dangerous precedent for the future. So, that's about it. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Have a good day.